In this video, we're going over uploading multiple spreadsheets to Data Storyteller and quickly setting up animations that transition through the different datasets. In the Data Storyteller controls, open Setup from your host application. I'm using After Effects. And you can upload multiple CSV files. Add additional CSV files using the Add button. When uploading more than one file, they do need to be CSV files. An Excel file will work for a single dataset, but to upload more than one, you're going to need to convert them to CSV. Click Continue and select the chart type. And you'll see each file as a tab below the spreadsheet. Use Sort to select the order you want the files to be in. This is the order they're going to animate in, starting with the file on the left first and ending with the file on the right. This is also where you can select which rows or columns you want to be animated. You can shift-click a range of columns or rows, or drag-select and then Control-drag-select to select non-adjacent rows or columns, and then click Apply Selection. Or just type in the range of rows or columns you want in the selection field, like A through C, and click Apply Selection. This selection is going to be applied to all of the datasets. If you make a change to one of your CSV files on your drive, you can click Reload Files. This will update the spreadsheets to the current version of your CSVs. You can then use the different panels in Step 4 to set up the look of your chart. We'll link to the video covering how to use these panels in the description. Keep in mind that when using multiple datasets, the axes and legend are going to stay the same, while the data is going to change. To control how each dataset animates on and off, set one of your panels to Animation Multiple Datasets. This is going to override any controls you set in the Animation panel, so you're going to use the Multiple Datasets panel to control all of the animation settings. First dataset is the animation type for your first spreadsheet animating on. The only option right now is Fade, but we're planning on adding Animate here in the future. And the Fade and Draw time controls how many seconds the initial fade-on animation is. Subsequent datasets can be set to Fade or Animate. The Fade Draw time sets how many seconds it takes for each new set to animate on, and the fade off time, how many seconds it takes each to fade off. If you're setting this to animate, you might want to set fade off to 0. Time between datasets controls how many seconds between the start of a transition and the start of the next transition. So if the start time is 2 and the time between datasets is 4, each dataset will animate for 2 seconds, stay on for 2 more seconds, and then the next animation starts. Keep last dataset on screen holds the last dataset at the end of the animation, so it won't disappear or fade off in your host app. Minimum opacity sets what percentage of opacity a dataset will be once it animates off. For example, I have this set to 0 opacity, each set will disappear once it fades off, and at 25, they'll fade off but still remain 25% visible. Opacity reduction sets the data to gradually fade off. If you set this to 50, each dataset will fade off down to 50% opacity and then gradually fade off with each transition after that. This lets you have the most recent data in the foreground with other sets fading into the background as they get older. Maps also support multiple datasets, although the multiple dataset controls are going to have fewer options since each state, county, or country can only be one color at a time, and you can only change the color. There isn't anything to move or animate. In the color controls, if the continuity is set to discrete, each state will transition one at a time. And if it's set to continuous, each state will fade transition at the same time. After previewing the animation and saving back to the host app, you can adjust settings like fade draw time and time between datasets in the effect controls, and set keyframes for things like scale and position. Any transform changes you make using the Data Storyteller controls will re-render the chart so you can zoom and reposition your entire chart animation without pixelating it. And then you can reopen Setup if at any point you need to add, delete, or update any of the data. Multiple dataset animations can be done in any of our chart types, and you can download a free demo of Data Storyteller or any of our other plugins at digitalanarchy.com. For more tutorials, check out our YouTube channel and email us with any questions at digitalanarchy.com.